Hello, everybody. This is Attorney Augustus Corbett. I hope you all are having a good day. So I want to talk with you a little bit about this reprehensible story of 6 former police officers who pled guilty to torturing a couple of African-American men in Mississippi.
For a while, I didn't think they were going to even get a slap on the wrist or anything, but I feel great about it.
And I know it's difficult for you to talk with the gun in your mouth. The police shot you through your mouth, lacerating your tongue. It went through to your neck, shredding that area of your neck. I am only glad that you can be with us today. Did you think you were going to survive that night, Michael?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I'm still going through pain right now. My whole face numb, my mouth hurting right now as we speak.
The officers' names are Brett McAlphin, Jeffrey Middleton, Christian Dedman, Hunter Elward, Daniel Opedeki, and Joshua Hartfield. They pled guilty to 16 different felonies in federal court on Thursday, according to the Department of Justice. For some reason, this story is not getting the attention that it deserves. This is one of the worst cases of police brutality that I have come across in a few years. It is horrible, yet it doesn't seem to have made the rounds in a big way as much as it should have on both main media and social media. According to the criminal complaint, and I'm reading from the Insider, McAlphin received a complaint on January 24th from one of his white neighbors in Rankin County that suspicious black men were staying at a property nearby. He contacted Dedman and asked him to take care of it, which prompted Dedman to contact a group of officers that called itself the Goon Squad. They literally called themselves the Goon Squad because, according to the Insider, they were willing to use excessive force and not report it. This is 6 law enforcement officers, all white, and were willing to do what was necessary to support white supremacy. And that is exactly what this was about. This was not police work. This was not community safety. This was white supremacy, and you'll see as I read on here. Dedman warned the men to work easy in case of cameras. In other words, be careful not to get caught on camera. Police officers are supposed to wear body cam. There could also have been some cameras where they were going. Some other people could have been filming what they were about to do. So because they are the Goon Squad, he told them to make sure you don't get caught on camera brutalizing these 2 black guys. Dedman also told them no bad mug shots, which meant they had the green light to use excessive force on parts of the body not captured in a mug shot. So he says, beat these guys, but don't do it in the face, about the neck, so that it will not be seen in a mug shot. No wonder they called themselves the Goon Squad. These were thugs in uniforms. This was as bad as any street gang, worse, in fact, because they were sanctioned by the law. They were sanctioned by the state. They were able to do this and get it through court, get it through prosecutors, and so on. So they're worse than street gangs because street gangs, everyone know that they're working outside the law, whereas you assume that law enforcement is working within the law. Well, that was not happening here. Later that day, the officers barged into the home of Michael Jenkins, 32, and Eddie Terrell Parker, 35. They didn't have a warrant, and they entered through a carport door because the front door had a security camera, the complaint says. The officers handcuffed both men and tasered them several times before Dedmon shot his gun into the wall and demanded they tell him where the drugs were. This is horrible, and it gets worse. As a matter of fact, if you got a weak stomach, you may not want to even listen to this. It gets much, much worse. While Jenkins and Parker, the two black guys, insisted they had no drugs, the officers began calling them racial slurs and told them to stay out of Rankin County and to go back to your side. White supremacy, pure and simple. White supremacy in the state of Mississippi. That doesn't surprise us, right? The notorious Mississippi, where Emmett Till was lynched, and many other atrocities, right there in the state of Mississippi. So the fact that these 6 police officers felt that they could do this to a couple of African-American men does not surprise me at all, because, again, the entire state of Mississippi is white supremacists. Let's keep reading. Again, I warn you, it gets worse. Rankin County is the suburbs of Jackson and is 74% white. Hinds County, where Jackson is located, is 72% black according to the U.S. Census. And we know how the state of Mississippi has treated black folks in Jackson, Mississippi. The water has been horrible, and the governor and all the other state leaders have done nothing to try and fix Jackson's water, although Jackson is the capital of the state of Mississippi. So once again, it's not surprising that these police officers knew that they could do this white supremacist junk and likely get away with it. While searching the home, Opodeki found a dildo, affixed it to the end of a BB gun, and then shoved it into the men's mouths. This is what the Insider is reporting, based on the fact that it was able to get its hands on the documents and records of these men's prosecution. So this is not being made up. This is what is in the complaint against these men. Let me read it again. They found a dildo, attached it to the end of a BB gun, and began shoving it into the mouths of these 2 black men. Dedmon also threatened to penetrate the men with the dildo and slap them with it. So they were about to penetrate the men anally and threaten to slap them with it. These were law enforcement officers. They wore badges sanctioned by the state of Mississippi. God knows what they had already done to other people. They called themselves the Goon Squad, you all. After the assault, Edward held the men down while Dedmon poured chocolate syrup, milk, alcohol, and cooking grease on them. The officers then forced the men to shower and took turns tasing them to see whose taser was stronger, charging their tasers a total of 17 times, making sure their tasers were as strong as they could be as they tased these naked men who had syrup and water and milk and alcohol on them. Now, the history of police violence in this county. Almost all the officers involved in the attack were employed by Rankin County Sheriff's Department. Hartfield, who was a narcotics investigator, worked for the Richmond Police Department. At least 5 people died in custody of the Rankin's Sheriff's Department during an 8-month period in 2021. Insider sued the Sheriff's Department for records related to 3 of those deaths. At least one of those officers who pled guilty on Thursday, Hunter Edward, was also involved in one of the 2021 deaths. Edward tasered and beat Damian Cameron before he died. In the incident report obtained by the Insider, Edward wrote that he punched Cameron at least 3 times and tasered him at least 3 times. Monica Lee, Cameron's mother, told Insider that deputies knelt on her son's back for more than 15 minutes, even as he complained that he could not breathe. So they knelt on his back for 15 minutes, although he was begging with them that he couldn't breathe. The Mississippi State Medical Examiner found Cameron's cause of death inconclusive, according to Lee. My God. A Mississippi grand jury declined to press charges against Elwood and other deputies involving in the beating due to insufficient evidence in October 2022. Now, what does this tell you? This tells you that the whole system, the entire law enforcement system in this county is white supremacist. It's broken. We have been trying to tell the country for years, and we continue to, that systemic racism is real. Systemic racism is where systems are filled with racism, not just individuals, but systems. Most white people will acknowledge some level of individual racism, but deny that systemic racism exists. But this is just one small sample of systemic racism. I could go on and on and on. Our law firm, Corbett and Corbett, we sue police officers for this type of behavior every day. We know it exists. We see it all the time. All the time. We've come a long ways in this country, but in many ways, we have not. We're fighting some of the same demons, some of the same white supremacist demons that our fathers, grandfathers, great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers have fought. We're still fighting those demons, but we will continue fighting in courts, legislatures, at the ballot box, or wherever the fight is. We will continue to fight. I wanted to share with you this reprehensible and repugnant story of these law enforcement officers, basically gang members in uniforms, brutalizing these two African-American men like this, merely because they are black. We have a long ways to go in this country, you all. A long ways to go. Again, I'm Attorney Augustus Corbett. You're listening to the Defiant Lawyers. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe if you're not. Peace and love.